My name is Robert Christopher Wayne Weathers. I live at 3102 Center Hill Road, Exeter, Mississippi, 38841. I am under attack by what appears to be Scientology. They are driving parasites through me and my family, remote control worms. I can also hear their voices. They are very hostile and demeaning. They keep threatening me and my family. They victim shame me and they're scapegoating. They are premeditating our deaths. So this is what I have experienced. It appears that there is more space in the universe than humans can see. There are extra dimensions, 11 in total. We have biology in these extra dimensions. We have extra dimensional biology. We utilize this biology to have an afterlife. Scientology is the practice of utilizing this extra dimensional biology before we die. They remove it from themselves, and they use technology and techniques to turn it into an upper dimensional vehicle. This biology, it presents itself in layers. As it grows out of us, it creates another biology. And then as it transcends into the next three dimensions, it creates a layer on top of that biology. And then it does the same for the next three dimensions and the next three, and so on and so forth. It winds up looking like those little Russian dolls, or doll inside of a doll inside of a doll. And there are also extra or different particles or extra particles attached to this biology. They call it the dark side. Uh, it is a type of dark matter or dark energy. It attaches itself to the particles in which we consist of, and it creates a whole nother biology. Okay, Scientologists like to remove at least or part of this biology or most of it for themselves. They have to leave some behind so they can function and survive. If you remove the whole biology, you die. So they take this biology and remove it or remove part of it, and then they like to remove the layers from this biology. So they wind up with three or four biologies in the upper dimensions in which they can modify and turn into an upper dimensional vehicle, or biologies in which they can control and drive around in the upper dimensions. These biologies can't function properly in this state. They are incomplete. Or you have to leave organs and tissues behind so you can survive, and then they have to choose which biology they are going to utilize as their main biology, and that's where all of their organs and tissues go. So they wind up with incomplete biologies, or a lot of them that don't function properly. So they have to use donor organs. They take organs and tissues from other humans and other species in an attempt to make themselves whole and function properly again. So they take organs and tissues from other humans and from other animals like reptiles, insects, and worms. And they take these donor organs and they modify their upper dimensional biologies to function properly to try to make them whole as possible and function properly. And they make there are a few types of alien forms. They're the greens, the grays, and the blues. They make lizard people with lizard biology. They make insectoids or bug people using worm biology, and then they make worm people. They also use worm biology to modify their biology. Yes, this is common Scientology practice. Uh, these companies call themselves Preservision, Yumas, and the Lizard Company. These are the Scientology companies that are responsible for this type of Scientology. There is an entanglement property between our third dimension and our inner dimensions. If you remove any part of our interdimensional biology, no matter where you take it in the universe, you are still in this biology. Uh, what happens is you can't remove energy from our particles. The particle will be destroyed. So space-time has to conform and warp to ensure this doesn't happen. So as a removed biology leaves us, as it leaves us, space-time in between us and the removed biology shrinks to zero. So instead of it leaving us and in space-time, space-time warps. So as it's leaving us, space-time is constantly shrinking to zero in between us and the removed biology. Uh, so the technology and techniques. First off, Scientology uses this entanglement property as part of their techniques and technology. They like to remove a part of their biology and store it in compounds on Earth. Uh, so they like to remove tissue such as brain tissue, mainly brain stems, their thalamus, and their eyes, and sometimes the whole thing, uh, bits and pieces, or multiple body parts, or certain layers of their biology. And there are compounds on Earth in which house this removed biology. They have little pods or boxes, or shelf systems, in which they store this biology. And then they install it into a storage system. So they have walls or little post, uh, little storage systems in which house this uh, extra dimensional biology. And within this storage system, they run electrodes and sensors and devices into this biology and interface this biology to a computer system. From there, they can interact with each other in the digital landscape. They can communicate with each other. And this computer system also acts as a command center so they can control their upper dimensional biologies and surrogates. Uh, then they have wireless technology. So there are devices that interface to their origin biology. Whatever you have left on your origin biology, they interface these devices to their brain and central nervous system. Hang on one second, I think somebody's here. So these devices, most of them act as a recording device. Uh, they call them preservision devices. These devices interface with your sensory perception organs and record the input. So they record your sight, your hearing, your taste, your smell, your touch. They even have a screen that interfaces with the visual cortex in your thalamus. And you can control the screen in replacement is the bit for the visual part of your brain, or they can control it for you. They can put things on the screen for you to see. This technology also stimulates the brain and central nervous system tissue. So they can stimulate areas of the brain like our emotional centers. They can make you experience, control your emotions. They can make you experience joy or sadness, happiness. They can even make you cry. They can isolate individual memories and thought patterns and stimulate this brain tissue. So they can make you experience a memory that you had, or they can make you experience a thought pattern. And they can even stimulate your sexual organs and make you have a sexual experience. Then there's auditory phones, visual phones, and then there are devices that give you an inner voice. So they put a device in your medulla area, bottom part of your brain, behind your palate, and this gives you an inner voice that everyone can hear. And lastly, this technology, it artificially stimulates uh, our brain and central nervous system. So it elevates hormones and neurochemistry. So it elevates hormones such as testosterone and estrogen and growth hormone. And then it elevates neurochemicals like dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, even oxytocin. These devices have an extremely narcotic-like effect upon the user. Yes, it makes them feel as if they're on drugs or hormone enhancers. Uh, then this technology, it allows them to create surrogates. So they have the ability to drive other organisms that are not their own. They can drive humans, animals, insects, and worms in any dimension. Okay, the Scientology community has become a criminal enterprise. Ever since around the 80s, they have been taking over our society. So anyone in our society with influence, power, or authority, or job positions in which gives people control over the population, such as media, marketing companies, and the internet, uh, big businesses, and the government, politicians, government agencies like the Department of Defense, Department of Justice, the CIA, the FBI, the military. Uh, they all have Scientologists working within these agencies. And these Scientologists are beholden to the Scientology community, not to the government or to the people. And they do things like exploit people or extort people for personal and monetary gain. Uh, these Scientologists like to do things like invade our homes, invade our privacy, invade our businesses. So social media companies and marketing companies, and even the government, they're doing things like taking eye nerves and brain tissue from people uh, to invade our privacy. Uh, biological theft is rampant among the Scientology community, and the government is a big players here. So there are several government agents that are running body biological theft schemes. Yes, they're taking body parts from the American public for surrogate purposes and to complete their Scientology practices. So Scientologists, they need stolen body parts to complete the Scientology process. Say you go to one of these companies and purchase Scientology, you purchase access to the upper dimensions. You will pay these people to remove your extra dimensional biology. And then they need donor organs to complete your biology. So they take organs from the public and other species and then modify your biology to make it whole and function properly, which allows you to access the upper dimensions. So biological theft. They kidnap people. If you have any kind of influence, power, or authority, or they are attracted to you in maybe in a sexual way or in any way, they may kidnap you. They kidnap people all the time. They traffic humans. So they traffic humans for both sexual purposes and uh, for organ donation. Yes, religious zealotism and occult behavior is rampant among these people. They have little seances and things. They like to torture people to death, send people to hell as part of their religious practices. If you have anything they want, or if you are a threat to their agenda, they may hurt you. They like to sabotage people so they can operate from the extra dimensions, a place in which you cannot see. They can invade your homes, your privacies. They can assault you in the upper dimensions. They can even get to your third dimensions. They like to poison people with parasites and microbes and viruses because they can control these organisms. They can drive these organisms. So they like to give people parasites and drive them through their biology. They have several species of parasites they like to use, some of which are genetically engineered. Uh, they like to use other animals and even drones and other people to spread these parasites. So they can use cats or dogs or other animals or insects spread these parasites to people. So they can take a load of parasites and attach it to a housefly and fly these parasites into your home and drop these parasites into your drink using houseflies. They've done it to me all the time. Yes, and probably other people. They are contaminating our food and water supplies. They are destroying our environments. So this entanglement property that pertains to our biology also extends to our environment. It extends to our homes, the land that we live on, our cars, our clothing, our food and water. So you can take extra dimensional particles from our belongings or our land or our home, and take it to a remote location and interact with this environment from this remote location. So you can literally take like a shirt. You can take the inner dimensions from someone's shirt, take it to a remote location, and then reach through this shirt and interact with this person's biology on some level. Usually like an upper dimensional or a part of your biology is which they can access. We have many different dimensions and extra particles attached. This is possible because of the entanglement property. Uh, say they took an extra dimensional organ and took it to a remote location. They can actually stick something into this organ and it shows up down here in your third dimension. Well, this all started for me about uh, 13 or so years ago. Uh, I was a political activist on social media. I participated in politics a lot. I had a large following. We discussed elected officials, lawmaking, policy, and environmental issues, and even participated in these issues. So we tried to persuade elections and lawmaking and policy. And I'm also an author. So I'm part Native American. My Native American name is Crazy Bird. I wrote Crazy Bird comics. I wrote the Environmental Creation Agency. I wrote Divine Currency or Buffalo Dollars. I wrote Alien Bob, Bug Bob, and several others. I inspired a lot of people. I helped a lot of people come up with their own ideas and write their own literature. And someone decided to force me to assimilate. So I started hearing voices, and these people were telling me what to do, how to do my job, when I could go to the bathroom, when I could take breaks. And I told them to get away from me. I did not accept their advances. I said, leave, get away from me, stop. And they got mad. And a whole bunch of them came. And they installed hive mind gear. And I started hearing voices. And they were hostile. They started harassing me and threatening my life and my liberty. I started yelling at them, stop, get away from me. But they left. Communication dialed down. I guess they pulled the devices. But then it became apparent that the public was invading my privacy, that the people in our society could see into my environment. And some of them used this information to harass me. Then I became violently ill. So I started to feel foreign objects stuck inside of my ear, my neck, my head. My whole head swelled up. So I started going to the hospital. I had x-rays done and scans done, but they could not find anything. But I could still feel it there. I'm assuming they were extra dimensional particles, extra dimensional objects. Time went on, I felt more and more ill, and they started stealing my intellectual property. So the things that I was working on and writing, and my studies and my philosophy, other people in the world started using this information for their own literature or their own content. Media companies, radio companies, magazine companies, people writing their own books, they would use my information to come up with their own. They would try to capitalize it themselves. And as time went on, they stole more and more intellectual property. The communication grew worse and worse, and I grew more and more ill. Then one day I started hearing voices again, seeing things. This time they installed more devices. Then I started to see these organisms in my environment. So these people that I share this society with, uh, I could see that they had their extra dimensional biologies in my environment. They were actually here on upper dimensional organisms. You know what I'm saying? That's why we gave you hive mind tech so you can see these people. Uh, so they have been giving me parasites uh, over the last decade or longer. It became apparent that I had parasites, big worms with teeth, and other types of parasites. And then it became apparent that they had been exploiting me. So they had been selling seats to my mind space to other Scientologists. They allowed rich people, such as Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and several other people, uh, read my mind for a fee. I guess it enlightened them, gave them ideas, and it allowed them to steal my intellectual property. They started victim shaming me, saying I'd done something wrong to somehow justify their criminal behavior towards me. They hurt me and my family, and they murdered several family members. So during this whole ordeal, several family members that were close to me just they got sick one day from organ damage and died a few days later. And they keep threatening the rest of my family and my animals. Uh, then they started stealing my biology. So they wanted the biology, my brain tissue. They wanted to somehow utilize my intelligence, my ability to create for their own. They wanted to harness it somehow. So they started stealing brain tissue and using it for transplants. They literally took extra dimensional brain tissue out of my head and stuck it in their own heads. And as time went on, they took more and more and more biology and brain tissue. Some of it they're using for transplants, some of it they're using for surrogate purposes, and some of it they're using for torture devices. So they like to do things like stick foreign objects inside of me, torture devices and parasites, and do things like lock me out of entropy or drop me through space time or put me in a box and bury me or hide me where nobody can find me and leave me like this. Yes, I can experience my extra dimensional biology. And then they have devices that they have my brain tissue attached to, such as this storage system which houses everyone's biology. And they still the same way it has been in the past. They are still observing uh, my thought processes or my mind space because they are attracted to it. Uh, so and then lastly, uh, our third dimensions experience time in a different manner than our extra dimensions do. So our third dimension see time as a linear event. We see the days passing one after another after another. We see seconds, minutes, and hours. Time is actually a simultaneous event. Dead people and these Scientologists, extra dimensional organisms, they see time as a simultaneous event. So they see the past, the present, and the future happening at the same time. Uh, so at this very moment, I'm being assimilated 13 years ago. And at this very moment, I'm being born. So at this very moment, they are driving my father in the hospital as he gives me the name Christopher. So they could come back to this moment or in the future and sell this whole torture event to the Christian community and to the rest of society as a Christian martyrdom. They call me a savior type. My employment and my hobbies and my work is about saving the planet. It's about helping people and save people. And they have been sabotaging me my whole life. So my father is extremely abusive. Uh, he has been hostile to me and my family members my entire life and everyone else around him. Yes, he makes our lives hell. And they have afflicted my family, my friends, my coworkers, my neighbors, my community, my doctors, the medical professional that I use, even the local police department, and anyone else affiliated with me in any way has been afflicted by these people. They want to control these people's behavior in an attempt to control my environment and get to me in some way. Yes, it is still going on. Uh, so today, they are assaulting uh, my spinal column and my brainstem. So they have worms inside of my spinal column uh, or inside of my backbone, up against my spinal column, my spinal cord, and they are assaulting that today. They have assaulted brain tissue today. I'm sick. I'm in pain. I'm weak. I'm dizzy. I've lost a lot of brain function and organ function. I am very ill. So these people are addicted to this. They do it over and over and over again. I am extremely ill. Yes, and they're trying to control my afterlife. So they want to turn my brain into some kind of toy. Since they have become so attracted to it and they're making so much money off of watching, invading my mind space, they want to continue to do this after I'm gone. So they want to try to still harness uh, my psychology, my ability to write and think and uh, process information. So they want to do this with my brain, parts of my brain, while they turn the rest of me into a torture device, make me experience pain and suffering in the afterlife. They say it's become so lucrative to them. I'm extremely ill. So are my animals and my family. Everyone in our household is getting sick. Me and my animals are the worst. These worms can be removed or killed. They won't do it. Uh, they have afflicted my medical personnel. They won't give me help. They won't let me receive treatment. No matter where I go, these people are already there. Yes, I've had plenty of scans and CT scans done. Uh, And the files, so I went and asked for a file of all of my scans so I could go look at it myself, and they're all clean. You could tell some things have been blotted out. There are dark spots in places, and uh, yes, it shouldn't be there. And then they titled the file "Monster." So this fits in with their false narrative, in which says I'm a bad person or I've somehow done something wrong to somehow justify their criminal behavior towards me. Scientologists kidnap people. They traffic humans. They exploit people. Yes, my Coco is bad. She's been having problems. She's been shaking her head. Uh, her whole face is swelled up. My neck hurts. I'm experiencing nauseousness and dizziness. They're assaulting my spinal cord today. So uh, most of these people driving these worms are military personnel, the CIA, the FBI, and there are several civilians doing this as well. MPB is also driving worms. Uh, the Navy, the National Guard, and several other members of the military, the CIA, the FBI, and even several politicians and other civilians. Yes, I'm very sick. It hurts.